On this day next week, so the 8th of February, both Take-Two Interactive and Ubisoft will be having investor calls, which means we could potentially get some news regarding the release windows of Star Wars Hunters and Star Wars Outlaws. Before I go any further though, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on to never miss a piece of Star Wars Hunters or Star Wars Outlaws news. So a quick rundown as to what investor calls actually are. From April 1st to March 31st the following year, that is what is known as the financial year, and this is typically followed by the vast majority of companies out there, and pretty much any publicly traded company has to report on their previous quarter and release this information publicly. So the timings of the investor calls are normally about a month and a bit after the previous quarter ends, so this is technically the Q3 investor call for the current financial year, because Q3 ended on December 31st, so this gives everyone about a month and a bit to sort out everything they need for these investor calls. And because Ubisoft and Take-Two are games companies, it normally means that we get some news regarding releases of their future titles, and this has been true for Star Wars Hunters for a long time. In the Q2 investor call of 2021, we found out that Star Wars Hunters was soft launching a week later, and in several Take-Two Interactive investor calls last year, we found out that Star Wars Hunters will be releasing within fiscal 2024, which ends on March 31st, 2024, but obviously Hunters was delayed last year, so the release date for Hunters will now have changed likely to fiscal 2025, so April 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2025. Now it's worth saying as well that investor calls are not going to be absolute havens for news. They don't necessarily go into in-depth specifics about certain games, because at the end of the day they are reporting on their finances. But if you saw my video from the other day, you'll know that I think that Star Wars Outlaws will probably be releasing late this year, based on the potential news we had at the start of this year, but also because I think Star Wars Hunters will be releasing in Q2. So what I'm expecting to see next week is the rough release windows for Star Wars Outlaws and Star Wars Hunters. Hunters I think will likely release in Q1, so essentially anywhere between April 1st to June 31st, which in terms of the calendar year is obviously Q2, and then to give Hunters time for marketing and then after release, to then give Outlaws enough build up of marketing for themselves. I think Outlaws then will release likely in Q3 of the calendar year, so if Hunters releases then and Outlaws is releasing in late this year, I think that will probably be in late Q2 of the fiscal year, which is therefore Q3 of the calendar year, so probably in September or potentially early October, which then obviously goes into calendar Q4, but we will just have to wait and see. Investor calls can always be exciting times for future game releases, and if we do get any news on these things, then of course I will be making a video on them, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel to stay fully up to date with all things Star Wars gaming, and let me know in the comments if you anticipate any news from these calls. That is it from me though. Thank you all very much for watching, and may the force be with you always.